Hi, welcome back to West Coast Geeks. I'm your host, Joaquin. How we doing, people? So, this today's video that you can see is a reading from the opening of the D&D Starter Rulebook. The first basic starter set of Dungeons and Dragons. So, if you've seen the previous video where we review the basic starter set, we go over the rulebook in depth, or we kind of like skim through it. We don't read everything, but we discuss it. And then we did the follow up, which is the B1 adventure or module, is what they were called back then, In Search of the Unknown. And that was a spoiler free too. So, to follow up, I decided to do the reading from the preface, and also the introduction, because that was just going to make the video way too long and Greg would have got bored. So, here we go, people. Once upon, oops, wrong one, the preface. This book is based upon the original work published in 1974 and three supplement booklets published in the first two periods after the initial release of Dungeons and Dragons. It is aimed slowly at introducing the readers to the concept of fantasy role playing and the basics play of this game. To the end, it limits itself to the basics. The rules contained here allow only for the first three levels of player progression, and instructions for the game referee or the dungeon master are kept to the minimum necessity to allow him to conduct the basic games. To conduct basic games. This is absolutely necessary because the game is completely open ended, it's subject to modification, expansion, and interpretation according to the desires of the group participating and in the general rules not bound by any conventional limitations or other types of games. This works farther. This work is far more detailed and more easily understood than were the original booklets. Nonetheless, or with it and the other basic components of the game, and any intelligent and imaginative person can speedily understand and play Dungeons and Dragons as it was meant to be played. Players who desire to go beyond the basic games are directed to advanced Dungeons and Dragon books. We wish to extend our sincere thanks to the following individuals who helped make it possible through their idea contributions: Brian Bloom, Ernie Gygax, Tim Kask, Jeff K. Key, Rob Knutz, Terry Knutz, Alan Lucen, Steve Marsh, Mike Mornar, and Jim Ward. I apologize for any mispronunciation of anyone's name. No disrespect intended. All right. So now we move on to a forward from the original edition. Once upon a time, long, long ago, there was a little group known as the Castle and Crusade Society. Their fantasy rules were published, and to this writer's knowledge, brought about much of the current interest in fantasy wargaming. For a time, the group grew and prospered, and Dave Anderson decided to begin a medieval fantasy campaign game for his active Twin Cities Club. From the map of the land and the great kingdoms and environments, the territories of the CC Society, Dave located a nice big bog where the nest, wherein the nest, the weird enclave of Blackmore, a spot between the giant kingdom and the fearsome egg of Coot. From chainmail fantasy rules, he began ideas for a far more complex and exciting game, and thus began a campaign which still thrives of this writing. In due course, the news reached my ear. As the result is what you see in your hands at this moment. While the CNC Society is no longer, Its spirit lives on, and we believe that all wargamers who are interested in medieval period, not just fantasy buffs, will enjoy playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's possible, go far and beyond any previous offerings anywhere. Explanation point, people gotta. While it's possible to play a single game unrelated to any other game, events, past or future, it's the campaign for which these rules are designed. It is relatively simple to set up a fantasy campaign, and better still, it will cost almost nothing. In fact, you will not even need miniature figures, although their occasional employment is recommended for spectacle when battles are fought. A glance at the equipment section from this booklet will reveal just how little is required. You have everything needed within this edition of game except for pencil and paper. The most extensive requirement is time. The campaign referee will have to have sufficient time to meet the demands of his players. He will have to devote a number of hours to laying out maps of the dungeons and other terrains before the affair begins. The third booklet of this set will be of great help in this respect. For a number of helpful suggestions regarding of how to accomplish it all have been given in order to help you accomplish the task. With the minimum of time and effort, this information included now this information is now included in the single book you have in your hand. There, you should be of no want of players, for there is unquestionably a fascination in fantasy game. Evidence even by those who could not by any stretch of the imagination be termed ardent, ardent wargamers. The longevity of existing campaigns, notable Blackmore in the Twin Cities and in Greyhawk in Lake Geneva, and the demand for these rules from people outside these campaign points towards a fantastic future. Tactical Studies Rules, now TSR Hobbies, believes that all forms of wargaming fantasy will soon become the major contenders for first place. This section of the booklet entitled Scope, now covered in the introduction, will provide an idea of how many possibilities are inherent in Dungeons and Dragons. These rules are strictly fantasy. Those wargamers who lack imagination, those who don't care for Burroughs Martin's adventures where John Carter is groping through black pits, who feel no thrill upon reading Howard's Conan saga, who do not enjoy De Camp and Frat's fantasies or Fritz Lebeer's Franz and Grey Mousers, pitting their swords against evil sorceries, will not likely to find Dungeons and Dragons to their taste. But those who imagine no bounds will find that the rules are the answers to their prayers. Within the last bit of advice, we invite you to read on and enjoy a world where fantastic is fact and magic really works. Ernie Gary Gygax, I'm assuming that's what it stands for because it's E. TSR Hobbies Incorporated, November 1st, 1973, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And now the final part, the introduction. Dungeons and Dragons is a fantastic, exciting, and imaginative game of role playing for adults 12 years and up. Each player creates a character or characters who may be dwarves, elves, halflings, or human fighting men. Magic users, pious clerics, or wildly thieves. The characters are then plunged into an adventure in a series of dungeons, tunnels, secret rooms, and caverns, run by another player, the referee, often called the Dungeon Master. The dungeons are filled with fearsome monsters, fabulous treasures, frightful pearls. As the characters engage in game after game, the characters grow in power and ability. The magic users learn more magic. The thieves increase in their cunning and ability. The fighting men, halflings, and elves, dwarves fight with more deadly accuracy and are harder to kill. Soon the adventurers are daring to go deeper and deeper into the dungeon on each game, battling even more terrible monsters, and of course, recovering bigger and more fabulous treasure. The game is limited only by the inventiveness and imagination of the players. And if a group is playing together, the characters can move from dungeon to dungeon within the same magical universe if the game's referees are approximately the same in their handling of play. The dungeon master designs the dungeons and makes careful maps on graph paper. The players do not know where anything is located in the dungeon until the game begins and they enter the first passage or room. They create their own maps as they explore. While only paper and pencil needed to be used, it is possible for characters of each player to be represented by miniature lead figures, which can be purchased inexpensively from a hobby store or directly from TSR Hobbies. The result of combat, magic spells, monster attacks, etc., are resolved by rolling special polyhedral 20-sided dice, which come with the game. And that's where I'm going to end it, people. So, like I said, we did a video reviewing the box set. Then we did a non spoiler review of B1 In Search of the Unknown. And I thought I would just read the introduction and preface and keep that separate for those of you who just want to learn a little bit about the history of this game. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, hello. Thanks for stopping by. Leave a comment below and subscribe to help support the channel. There was that, people. The rest of this weekend will be devoted to Magic the Gathering because a new set just come out, the Kamigawa set. But I might also do another D&D video. I don't know. We'll see what my schedule's like. All right, people. I hope you enjoy the week, and I'll catch you later.